My name is Philipe Moriel. I'm an associate professor at the Range Cattle Research and Education Center. So what I will do this presentation uh, today, I'm going to cover two analyses that we did recently, okay? That looking at all the data that we collected over the past 6-7 years here at the center. First one looking at body condition score, and then the second one looking at pre-calving supplementation. Okay, provides pretty good information about what those two can do in terms of reproductive performance of animals here in South Florida. Then I will show you one of the studies that we recently published, and I think it's going to be a good option for producers here in South Florida. The cost of investment is very small, and the benefits that we harvested was that really they were pretty good. And then for last, I'm going to show this study with the stair step. I already showed this before. Maybe some of you might remember this, but as we are approaching weaning, I thought this is a good time to remind the cow-calf producers that this is a good option to do with your heifers here in South Florida. So first, let's go to the effects of body condition score and reproduction. Now, for years, right, we know that body condition score at calving, it's important for reproductive performance of cows. And then as you increase the body condition score at calving, you're increasing their pregnancy rates. And that doesn't matter the breed, the subspecies, the regions, geographical location. It really doesn't matter. You pretty much have the same response. It drives how many cows get pregnant and also when they will get pregnant. The better the body condition score, less time it takes for them to resume estrus and conceive. Okay, and having cows calving early, breeding early, also means cows calving early. And that has a dramatic impact on how their heifer offspring will perform, right? So we know that for years, there's nothing really new. However, last year I came up with this data from folks in New Mexico State University. And then they looked at pregnancy rates of Angus Hereford cows of 2 to 3 years of age that according to their body condition score. And what they saw was no effects at all. They kept in good condition or in optimal condition. There was really no differences in pregnancy rates, right? And the reason for that is that they did not provide any chance for those cows to fail. Okay, so as soon as they did not become pregnant, they were out of the herd. So they were very, very hard on selecting those animals. So that made me think about what are we still having the same kind of thing happen at ONA or not? We don't select as heavy as they do, but maybe over time, right, by selecting those more productive females, this relationship between body condition score and pregnancy rates maybe changed, and it was not as dramatic as before. So what I did, like I said, since I came back 2017, we did 6 studies with pre-calving supplementation all the way to 2022. Most of those studies were done in multiple years. So we ended up with closely 1,200 cows in that data set, right? And those cows were 5 to 11 years old. All cows pregnant, and they only missed once in their lifetime, okay? And then we started collecting data about 2 weeks after weaning, all the way into calving, and that's about 92 days before calving. And some of them received supplementation, some of them did not. And if you want to access the studies, they are right here at the bottom. Okay, you guys can go online and check more details about each one of them. So I did 2 analyses. The first one was looking at body condition score calving and what happens if she loses, gain, or maintain body condition score after calving, from calving all the way to the start of the breeding season, right? They calved thin, good condition, and then each group lost, maintained, or gained, right? This is the classical way to look at it. And then you also have the pre-partum supplementation. So I looked at body condition score at weaning, okay, thin or in optimal condition. And then if they were or not supplemented with protein and energy for about 70 to 90 days before calving, okay, and what's the impact on the calf and the cow performance. So first, let's look at pregnancy rates, right, and effects of body condition score. So what we see overall is that we still have this linear relationship, right? We do not have the same case as we see in New Mexico. And as you increase the body condition score, we still have this linear increase in pregnancy rates at this point. Now, this is just a regression. What if I looked at all the cows that calve below 5 or cows that calve above 5, right? So first look at the numbers. Only 200 cows were below 5, and around 980 are above 5 at this time of the year. That means that in our conditions, with the grass, with the fall calving, most cows will calve in good condition. But you also will always have about 20% of them that are thin. When I look at their body condition score, and we're only talking about a half of a point below what's optimal. So those cows are calving at 4.5. Sometimes it's even hard to pick up that difference. And the ones that are calving above 5, they're calving a 5.5. So they are just slightly above what's good, and this group is slightly above what's also a good goal for everybody here, right? And after that, those differences they pretty much maintain all the way to through the breeding season and wean. Now, look what happens in terms of calf performance. Those calves that were born from cows that had a slightly better body condition score, they were 4 pounds heavier at birth. That was not enough to cause any calving difficulty, so we did not lose any more calves because of that. But look at weaning. If they calve slightly better than optimum, you increase weaning weights by 20 pounds. And right now, this is worth almost $60, right? A pretty good difference that you have at the time of weaning. And we also had about 10% more cows pregnant. We're talking again, 4.5 compared to 5.5. That's a small difference. But look at the impact that we have in weaning weights and pregnancy rate. Now, what about post-calving? What happens if she loses, maintain, or gain body condition score? Okay, and this is looking, regardless of how well she calved, how well was her body condition score at the time of calving. So as you would expect, most cows will lose body condition score. Some maintain, some gain, all right? Now, all of those cows were lactating. All of them had a calf by her side. Right? So they maintain or gain. It's pretty much those cows that are more dominant. Right? They can have access to the hay or they consume more of the supplement. So they're able to maintain or gain. Right? Whereas the majority of the cows will lose. But when they lose, it's about 2/3 of a unit. If they maintain, they maintain, or if they gain, they're only gaining about half of a unit body condition score. So it's not that much. But the lost is about 2/3 of a unit. When I look at the start in the breeding season, those that lost, they are below 5, which is something that we do not want to happen, right? And those that maintain or gain, they are above the optimal body condition score. But when I look at weaning weights, there's no differences. That means that even if we had differences in milk production, it's very minimal, and it's not leading to any advantage here in terms of weaning weights. But the benefit here is pregnancy rate, right? If they lose, not much, you're going to decrease pregnancy rates by 5%. In a herd of 100 cows, 5 calves today is worth more than $6,000, right? That's a huge difference that we sometimes would forget. And maybe more importantly is the calving distribution starts to delay. So those cows will end up missing a pregnancy in upcoming breeding season. Just because she calved, she lost slightly more in the other groups. Now, I showed you what's the benefits of pre-calving, body condition score calving, and what happens if she loses, maintain her gain. This is actually not the best way to look at because the body condition score at calving drives how post-calving body condition score will affect reproductive performance. What that means is a cow that calved below 5, if she loses body condition score, her pregnancy rate was 75%. And she had only 35% of those pregnancies happening in the first 30 days. This is horrible for the operation. At some point, a lot of those cows are going to miss this pregnancy. Now, if she calves below 5 and you either maintain or gain body condition score from calving all the way to the start of breeding season, then their pregnancy rates go up. And there's no difference. So there's really no need to make them gain body condition score. Right? If you maintain, you can achieve the same pregnancy rates. Now look at those that calved above 5 and they lost. 88%. Statistically, there's no difference compared to this group here. But if we had more cows in this group, we will probably pick up that difference. And what that means is that even if a cow calves in low body condition score, even if you make her gain condition after that, she will never fully compensate for that poor body condition score at calving. can do whatever you want. She's not gonna achieve the same pregnancy rate. But the mistake is done. All you can do right now is to minimize the loss, right? But if they calve above 5 and they maintain or gain, pregnancy rates go to the max. Okay, so usually it's fine for them to lose body condition score as long as they calve in good condition, above 5, above 5.5, and try to keep that body condition score loss of a half of a point. More than that, we're going to start decreasing some of the pregnancy rates. All right, so overall, we still have the same response as before. Body condition score calving is the most important factor that we have to have in our mind. Most of the time, we focus so much on winter supplementation, what we're going to provide in winter, that we forget before. And before is body condition score calving. Making sure that they calve in good condition gives you a lot of flexibility later. You don't have to make them gain. You don't have to make them maintain. As long as you minimize body condition score, you'll be fine. Right? But don't ever forget about body condition score calving. You will always have about 20% of your cows that will need some attention. Okay. Now this is the same data. It just makes it easier for you to look at. The blue line is the cows that have good body condition score. You can see that even if they lose or gain, the impact on their pregnancy rate is not as much. But look how drastically it drops if she calves in poor condition. And when I mean poor, I mean 4.5. Right? It's just a touch before 5. Right? Now, I've showed you a lot of these data before about fetal programming. If you guys want to read this review that we published last year, I'm sorry, a few years ago, it's free. All right. It has a lot of more details about specific effects of minerals, frequency, amino acids, polyunsaturated fatty acids. So it's a topic that we like a lot because it has a lot of implications for us in South Florida. So what I decided to do was to do a second analysis. So if I know that she has to calve in good condition, I have to start preparing her as soon as possible. And as soon as possible means weaning. You bring her to the pens, remove the calf. That's the time that you have to sort counts between thin and good condition, and you address that nutrient deficiency, right? That you have plenty of time to fix that, 70 to 90 days, right? So the longer, the better. And also, we need about 70 to 90 days of supplementation to have positive effects on the calf that she's carrying. Less than that, you don't have a lot, right? So weaning is the best sign that we can, like I said, sort them to thin counts, good condition, and we can do specific nutrition for them. So what I did, I looked back in these 1,200 cows, those that were above 5 or below 5 at the time of weaning, and then those that were received or not supplementation. And supplementation is a very small amount, 2.5 pounds of distillers, molasses, bakery waste, cubes, right? We did all kinds of supplements. So far, there's no specific supplement that works better. All of them are pretty much having the same result, okay? So what we found was, look first at the number of counts. As again, you have only about 230 counts that are thin at the time of weaning compared to 950. Right? And this is mostly because those cows, they recover a lot of their body condition score during spring and early summer. Now look at their body condition score at weaning. Again, we're talking about 4.5 at weaning compared to 5.5, 6. Okay. Now, if they don't supplement, they pretty much maintain their body condition score over 90 days. But what actually happened, they gained condition for 45 days. So a lot of people think that everything is fine. And everything that they gain, they're going to lose in the last 45 days before calving. So by the time you look again, they are thinner. Right? So it gives you a feeling that they go back to the same state, the initial stage that they were. Now, if you supplement, they actually gain 2/3 of a unit. It's a pretty good response with a small amount of supplementation. Right? Now, look if they are all in good condition. They're all closer to 6. If you don't supplement and they are in good condition, they are going to lose. They will lose at least half of a point, if not more. Because they're heavier, they're fatter, their requirements are greater, the grass is not sufficient to meet their requirements, so they are going to lose. So expect about half of a point decrease from what their body conditioning score is at weaning, right, and the time of calving, if you don't supplement. But if you supplement, it's going to go up about a quarter. right? So it obviously responds less, which is heavier, greater requirements. The amount of supplementation is the same as those thinner cows. You're not gonna be able to get the same 2/3 of a unit increase at those thinner counts. All right, so this is just for you to kind of expect what you're gonna harvest from supplementing those counts. In good condition, only about a quarter of a unit. If they are in thinner condition, you're gonna get 2/3. Right? And then those differences they maintain all the way until weaning in the following year. So what happens in terms of their reproductive performance? This is the interesting part. If they are thin at the time of weaning, right, around 4.5, and you provide a supplementation, it goes up by 6%. So again, a calf worth $1,000 today, it's more than $1,000 today, right? So that's around $6,000-7,000 extra. And you spend only $25 per count. So 100 counts, you spend 2,500 and you got $6,000-7,000. All right, I don't see you getting that much return anywhere else. Now, if they are in good condition, we don't see any response, right? Because they only increase their body condition score by a quarter of a unit, so it's not that biologically significant, right? So this is an option that we can do. However, look at the calves born from those cows at the time of weaning. If they were thin at weaning, okay, and then they calved in November, weaning season starts in January, and they're gonna wean this calf again in July, right? And if they receive supplementation, there's no increase in their weaning weights. But if they were in good condition, then we see an increase of about 21 pounds. So what it means here is that it's a win-win situation. So at weaning, you could not sort counts according to body condition score and just supplement all of them. Because it will increase pregnancy rates of those thinner cows, and it will increase weaning weights of the cows that are in good condition. Now, today, this year, it makes sense because almost $3 a pound, you spend $25, you're getting close to $60, right? So a return of $35 per cow in that strategy. Now, in years that we don't have this scenario, which probably are most of them, right? You could just at least supplement the thinner cows. Save your investment for the thinner cows, you're gonna have more pregnancy rates. And in years that it makes sense, you supplement all of them. This is actually a good thing, gives people a lot of flexibility in what they can do, right? And the type of supplement, like I said, it can be all kinds of them. We still haven't identified one specific supplement that works best in our conditions. And something else that we saw that it was interesting is that regardless of the body condition score at calving, if they receive supplementation, we increase the percentage of cows getting pregnant early in the breeding season. So if you are having problems with cows becoming pregnant late, this is a good strategy just to bring some of them back at the beginning. Right? So this was a pretty good data set, a lot of cows. We're gonna continue to do this. Maybe in the next 6-7 years, we'll come back and redo it, all of it, see if there's any changes compared to what we've seen so far. But one of the studies I want to show you is this one with probiotics. Okay, this is nothing new, but it has received more attention in the cow-calf industry recently. It has been used a lot in feedlot, also in dairy cattle, and in the cow-calf, it has a lot of potential. If you don't know what it is, these are pretty much probiotics, right? It's bacteria, good bacteria, so that it populates the rumen and the intestine. And it has several functions, and that leads to overall better intestinal health, right? Protects against pathogens when you are being challenged. But also, and it helps with fiber digestibility. Okay, so the animals are able to better digest this forage if they receive this kind of supplementation. Okay, so what we did with this study, we started in May, ended in March of last year. We had 72 pregnant Brangus heifers. They were divided in 12 Bahia grass pastures, okay? And then 6 pastures per treatment. And then what we did was we provided soybean hulls for the control group from May all the way to the start of their breeding season. So we covered their leg gestation, post-calving period, all the way to the start of the breeding season. And then we had a second group that also received the soybean hulls added with 3 grams of this probiotic. It's a very small amount, very easy to do, very easy to store. And it only costs 3 cents a day. So 240 days of supplementation, it's roughly $8 per count. Very small amount of investment. right? And then after early weaning, those cows were put with the bulls, and then we bred them. We look at their pregnancy rates. The calves, they were early weaned at 3 months of age, and then we put them in a dry lot. Everybody's fed the same diet. We want to push them as hard as we could. And then we challenged them with 2 vaccines against respiratory disease, just to look at how their immune system responded, right, based on how their mothers were treated. So what we saw was the following. Right? In terms of body conditioning score, it actually worked. Cows that received the probiotic supplementation, they were heavier. They had greater body conditioning score near calving. After calving, in our conditions, they lose a lot of condition, right? Just being on grass. So that extra body conditioning score at the time of calving kind of disappeared over time. So when we started the breeding season, there was no more differences in their body conditioning score. And because of that, we didn't see any differences in pregnancy rates. But also because we early wean, right? Those first calf cows that get their calves early weaned, pregnancy rates of about 90%. If you don't early wean, you will never get that. You get 60%. All right. So that extra body conditioning score at the time of calving didn't lead to any differences in body conditioning score because they lost it after calving and because we early wean. All right. Now, what we did see was that we changed their metabolism substantially. Right? You don't have to read every single of these metabolites, but this figure here shows that when I provided the supplementation, they had totally different physiology compared to those that did not receive. Right? And what that means is that it has results in the offspring. So when you gain more body conditioning score and you change their metabolism, sometimes you're favoring more energy metabolism or protein metabolism pathways, it actually helps with calf development. So that's why we looked at the calf performance. And what we saw was at the time of early weaning, when they were 3 months of age, there's no differences, meaning that even if they produce more milk from calving all the way to 3 months, it didn't really need to lead to better growth performance. But once we put them in a dry lot and we fed everybody the same diet and we pushed them as hard as we could, that's when we start seeing differences, right? And at the end of the dry lot exit, they were about 20 pounds heavier if they were born from cows that received the probiotics. And remember, these calves did not receive the supplementation at all. They never seen it until 3 months of age. Right? I'm sorry, they saw it from birth all the way to 3 months of age. After that, they never received it. And they are still, right, making differences in their growth performance. And it's mostly because they were more feed efficient. And part of that is because their metabolism were also different. So by the way that we fed the mothers, it had carryover effects on how the calves behaved in the future. So we're identifying the right pathways that are happening here, but it's again, they're selecting pathways that are more feed efficient in terms of energy and protein metabolism. That's why they are gaining more with the same amount of feed. And we also saw some positive benefits to their immune response. What it means is that more calves responded to the vaccination and more calves responded with more antibody production if they were born from cows that received probiotics. So in this case here, you just think about the 20 pounds extra of calf weights. That's $60, and you spend only 8. Right? We're doing the same study. We're almost done with it with multiparous cows with the mature herds. Right? And now we have roughly 300 and something cows. So we're trying to see if also older cows if we work like this. Right? So once I have more data on that, in October is my next on a highlight, and I'll share this study that I just showed you and the ones that we are still conducting. Now, to finish, all right, I'm going to talk about the heifer nutrition. He's trying to use nutrition to help them cope with the heat stress. So we know that in our area, okay, not reaching puberty before the start of breeding season is the worst thing that we can do for those heifers. All right, so look at these 2 studies that we did over the last few years. Those at pre-pubertal means that heifers that were not pubertal before the start of breeding season. They all reached puberty before the breeding season ended, so they all had a chance to get pregnant. What the difference is if they were pubertal before the breeding season, or okay, this is before the breeding season, or if they were not pubertal before the breeding season started. Now look at the differences in pregnancy rates just by that. One study, another study. And look at calving distribution too. If they were pubertal before the start of the breeding season, you have about 60% of them bred during the first 30 days. If they're not pubertal, you only had about 20%. This is gonna have lifetime consequences to the heifer performance. Now at ONA, we know that it's really hot here in Florida, right? So how hot it is. So this is a THI. This is an index that we use to measure heat stress. The blue line is the average THI of the day. The black line is the minimal THI of that day. And the red line is the max, right? And the red lines here that I put for you is the category that we consider thermoneutral, heat stress, severe heat stress. So what you guys can see is that from August all the way to November, when we are developing those heifers, average THI for most part is above what we call heat stress concern. For several hours of the day is actually 90. Like this is really high. To give you a comparison, when they say in dairy cattle that heat stress, they're talking about 72. We're getting 90. Right, for several hours of the day and all the way into December. Even in January, during the winter time, we have periods of the day that the THI is hot enough for that it causes concern. All right, so we are pretty much 9 months of the year in heat stress condition. Okay, so what did we do? So one of the things that the animals do when they are under heat stress is that they start changing a lot of their behavior. They start sweating more, painting more. They start trying to get out of the sun, right? They try just behavior changes. That doesn't work, then he relies on physiological changes, right? Try to mobilize glucose, trying to make things that help with them deal better with the heat stress. And one of them is reduce dry matter intake, because every time you eat, you produce heat. So that's one of the things that you want to do is stop grazing, stop eating supplements, because that generates heat. So what we wanted to do is actually take advantage of that. Because here in Florida, we had to supplement those heifers. And we don't have an option if we want to breed them at 14 months of age. We had to supplement with 1.5% of their body weight of supplement. Okay, so, and we usually, what we do is 1.5% from weaning all the way until the end of the breeding season. So what we wanted to do was different a little bit. So we use that stair-step strategy where you slow down the amount of supplement at the beginning and then you push at the end. The idea here is that I'm providing less supplement when it's really hot. And then whatever supplement I didn't provide here, I save it for later when it's cooler and those animals are actually able to respond. Right? So this study here was funded by the Cattlemen Association. We did it for 2 years. Those are Brangus heifers on Bahia grass pastures. And again, like I said, the control group, 1.5% of their body weight was supplements, right, for about 100 days. Or they were in the stair-step strategy where they got 1% for 50 days and then 2% for the next 50 days, right? Then after that, everybody is receiving the same amount of supplement. They're synchronized, timed AI, and they are put with booze. So the only difference is how I fed them for 100 days after weaning. So what we found was the first 50 days, okay? This is the average daily gain of those two groups. Remember, this is fed at 1.5% of their body weight. This is fed 1%. So this one here is eating almost 50% more than this group here. And there's no difference in average daily gain. And the reason that we believe is that because of this rise in internal body temperature. As I provided more supplement, like I told you, those heifers have more metabolic heat production, generate more heat, and that increases their internal temperature. So their requirements are going to be higher. So we believe that a lot of that extra supplement is not being efficiently used, just making it worse, the heat stress. Now, the second 50-day period, what we have here, look, this is one fed 1.5%. This one is at offered now 2%. And we had a dramatic increase in average daily gain. Part of that is the compensatory gain. Usually when we slow down and we push at the end, there's this compensatory gain. But part of that is also that now when it's cooler, right, this is November, we don't have any differences in internal body temperature by changing the amount of feed. So the extra feed that they are being offered is not being wasted by generating heat. It is actually being converted into gain. So overall, on these 100 days that we fed them, they gain more if they are in this stair-step strategy. So the total amount of supplement that they consume is exactly the same, but they are about 9 pounds heavier. I'm sorry, 10 pounds heavier at the time of the start of the breeding season, right? If they were the stair-step strategy. Now, what happened to their reproductive performance? We didn't see any differences in purity attainment. We didn't see any difference in reproductive tract score. But look, no differences in AI, right? Maybe if we had one more year, we could pick up this difference. However, look at the final pregnancy rates. Went up from 85 to 95% of those heifers pregnant. And I didn't add any extra cent in their cost. Just by shifting how I fed them, right, according to the heat stress, I was able to compensate and that lead to better reproductive performance. Now, obviously, there's some risks of doing this, and we can talk if anybody has more questions about that. However, this is a very good strategy that people can do here in Florida to maximize reproductive performance without increasing the cost at all. Right? So with that, that's all I wanted to show today. So went over 5 minutes. So my phone number, my email is right here, the slide. If you have any questions that you're not able to do here, the chat, please email me, all right? Or you can also find our phone number in our website, and I'll be available to answer any questions. So, and like I said, for those of you online, please enter your question in the chat box. And while you do that, I'll see if anybody has questions here in the audience. I'm sure my students will have. For the probiotic? I don't think so. Yeah, so the question was if the calves born from those cows that are in the mature herds, if they're gonna respond the same way as the calves that were in the dry lot. I don't think so, because for a lot of those fetal programming studies, we start seeing differences in calf performance when we really push the calves, right? But it could happen, right? And even if it's not as much as 20 pounds, 10 pounds, it's already more than enough to pay for the cost, right? 365 days supplementation of that product will cost you $10. So it's nothing. It's something that people can stomach. So the question is if we increase the amount of probiotics, I don't think so, because that's the amount of dosage that is necessary to achieve that. It's already proven in other animals that that's the dosage that they use. So the lower the dosage, the better, right? Just because it helps with the costs and more people will use it. So I think it's gonna work, but probably not as much as the other stuff.
So before everybody departs, I have a few announcements. I would like to invite everybody to come back and join us on June 11th for our next ONA highlight with Dr. Joe Vendramini. He's going to be talking about his study on invisible fence. And I will share the registration information on that whenever I send you the recording from today's ONA highlight, as well as a link to a page where you can see today's PowerPoint as a PDF, if you're interested in having that. Another event that I would like to mention to you is the Landowners Assistance Expo. This event is going to be happening over in Highlands County in Sebring on June 11th. It's a full-day program, and lunch is also being provided. So you need to register if you would like to attend. And I will share these events with you too whenever I send you the link for the video recording. Another event I'd love to mention is our upcoming Youth Field Day, which is scheduled for June 27th. And the space for this is a little limited. And so far, we're probably 60–70% full. So I highly recommend, if this is an event, you know a student that would like to come with their parents or a guardian or a youth leader, they should get in there and register soon so they can make sure they have a spot. Along with the Youth Field Day each year, we take contributions of t-shirt designs that are done by either students or adults for our contest for the next year's t-shirt. So if you like to draw or know somebody that does, kids or adults, please enter the contest. We need entries. Your design, the winning design, is featured on the next year's t-shirt, as well as you get a complimentary t-shirt and a couple of other cool prizes. So spread the word. If you're not already doing so, I highly recommend that you check us out on social media, or join us through email. Sign up to receive our weekly news. You can just shoot me an email there to ona@ifas.ufl.edu. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you in June.